Well, today we're going to play with a touch of blush. This is a Katy collection from England, and let me just show you. There are muted colors, but you can just pop them up as I've done with this slimline card. Okay, will you please come play with us? Well, let me show you some of the products first. So the papers are 8 by 8. They are double-sided, and then on the back of the cover you also get some extra cutouts, and so that's fun. I'll be showing you all of that. There is a package of toppers. Now you're going to get 2 of each of these. They are foiled, as you can see, and they are die cut, so they're just going to pop right out. And then also there is a package of sentiment toppers. Now these are words and greetings. You're going to get 2 of them. They are identical to this sheet, and so that works out nicely too. And I think this is 48, and I think this is almost 50, so that's really nice. Okay, let's get started with the first one, and I'll tell you why I did what I did. And there we go, a little bit closer. So this is a 6.5 by 5-inch card. And you can see I collaged the front, and that just really seemed to work for me. Now the paper that I used is this one. Isn't that pretty? Now those aren't really gold, but they kind of look goldish. That's on the back side, so you really get a variety of colors. And in this case, I did take, let's see, let me scoot these over and show you. I did take the die cuts. And the first thing that I did was to use the border, and here it is. It's on this sheet. In fact, there are 2 borders. One that's more of the salmon color and peach color, another one that's blue. I used both of them, so I thought that was really neat. And you can see that I used this piece as well as this piece, which is right here, and overlap them a bit. Now, as this sheet was on here, it just felt awfully light. It felt like these die cuts were going to overpower it a bit. So I added, of course, something, and this is the Cocoa Brown ink from Hunky Dory, and of course my trusty blender brush, and just put this on the craft sheet after covering this with paper. By the way, when I say covering with paper, here's what I mean. I take my adhesive, and in this case it's going to be the Cosmic Shimmer Specialist glue, and went right around the front of the car. I made a big X in the middle because that's what I do. And then I took this and positioned it along the fold and then against one side. Press down, turn it over, trim it to fit. It will always work. You don't have to do any measuring, and that's really a bonus. Okay, then put it on the craft sheet and do your blender brush and just bring the ink in, you know, kind of tap it, bring it in all the way around. Just duplicate that multiple times, and that's going to work nicely. Now I did, as I said, I did the 2 die cuts. They are foiled, which is really nice. But first I did that border, and the border is graduated in color. So it's a little bit, well, I guess this one isn't. The other side is. This one is really kind of stable, but I also felt that if I put it on that paper, it was going to disappear because it's very light. So I did the same thing, except that I simply edged it. So I took my ink pad and simply went right along the edge, and then did the same thing on the other one. That gives it a kind of a tiny matted look, but it just makes it separate from the background, and that worked nicely. So you can see that I've got a dark piece and a light piece. You can see all of that white, and they are overlapping. They are foam taped in place. Now the other thing that I did is I wanted to add more gold. I wanted to have the gold pop a little bit more than the light gold that's here and on that strip. So I went into my trusty, this is the Lacy Borders, Fancy Borders, and you can see that I used 1 strip here and 1 piece here. It's the same one. I also brought it in away from that inked edge because I wanted to really see it. I didn't want to cover up that inked edge. The other thing I did was to add Just for You. Now that's out of the sentiments, so let me show you that. right here. It's a bold statement, so that's nice. And as I was using these pieces, I have to tell you, I always use these 4.5-inch professional scissors because you're trimming a very delicate little piece of dazzle, and that just works easiest for me. And I had a bit left, and I thought, aha, I've never done this before, but I just added it at the top of that greeting. And I was very pleased with it, very pleased with myself. The other thing I wanted to do was to bring in, of course, if you're going to have flowers, you've got to have butterflies. And this is our foiled die-cut acetate butterflies. Now, these are foiled, so they're going to match the foiling on all of this and the dazzles. And we have colored these in the past. You can color them with a tri-blend marker on the back. But I really just wanted to keep it, of course, just as it is with the gold showing. So what you do is, at least what I do, is I fold it on each side of the body. And it's kind of like vellum that once you fold it, it's going to stay folded. And then I took a strip of the 1/4-inch extra sticky tape, put it on back of the body, and then remove the liner and just attach the body. That way these wings can flutter or they can go flat. It doesn't make any difference, but it's really kind of nice to have. So you can see those pops of gold that just work so nicely. Okay, so that's my collage front. My collage on the inside is using another of the papers. And also I did the same thing. I did trim it down. Again, this is a 5 by 6.5, so it's smaller. And by the way, the directions are down below so you can get all the measurements, okay? And in this case, I did the same thing, used the cocoa bean around the edges, and you can see I went in a little bit far just to really make sure it showed. I had some of that border left, so I cut it in half and put one piece here and one piece there because I know I was going to put that topper in the middle. So these two are simply glued in place. Now there is another of the butterflies, same way. It's got the extra sticky tape here. And then notice what else I did. I kept using those dazzles on each side of the greeting and then also underneath it. And I felt quite proud of myself, I must say. Okay, so that is our first card, very collage-y looking. Okay, we're going to go to the next card. And here it is. Now, this is also a 5 by 6.5-inch card, but it has a kind of a peekaboo opening. So you can see what's going on there, and you can see what's going on in there. Okay, now this started with this piece, and let me show you. So here is that piece. And then this little guy comes from those pieces also. Where are you? Sometimes, yes, it does help to, oh, it's on the same sheet. Okay, is right here. And the foiling on these is pretty delicate. I mean, you might have noticed that on the first card. So it's not a, you know, it's just heavy. It's very, very delicate. And that's why I chose the dazzles that I did. They're very airy. So what I did with this is I put this piece on here, just this butterfly on top of this, and foam taped it in place. Actually, that's the very first thing I did. But this looked empty because it was so white. So, you know, we have a solution for that whenever something looks not quite finished. It's going to be probably a dazzle or glitter or an ink pad. This is the teal ink pad. Same thing, but notice that it goes in, gee, almost a 1/4 to 1/2 inch all the way around. Okay. Now I know I'm talking about the inside of the card, but I want you to know the design process that I used, and this is what I used. So that was the first thing I did. Now remember I said that there were 2 borders on the sheet. We already used this one. This is the second one. This is the one that's gradated. So you can see it's more teal, goes brown, a little bit more teal down here. And I wanted the teal to show because that's really what I'm talking about. Now, if I did it like that, I would end up with brown showing. So I simply cut it underneath here and then had this piece down there. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's, I glued that. It's about a 1/2 inch from the fold. And I'll talk about the butterflies in a minute. Okay, so let's go back to the card front. So what I wanted to do was to showcase this piece, but I only had one of them, and I decided not to use it on the front. So what I did is I measured, let's see, I have this all ready for you. I have my card with the fold on the left, and I measured 2 1/4 inches down and 2 1/4 inches up, and then drew the line so that it's 2 1/4, right, okay? And then cut along that line and cut away this piece. So then you've got 2 flaps. Now those flaps do need to be connected, and Heidi told me a while ago that she really uses the heat-resistant acetate because it is a stronger, thicker acetate. So I took her up on that, and I added the acetate. Now you can glue it, you can attach it to the card front, or you can attach it to the card, the back of the front. You want to use the extra sticky tape because the acetate is very smooth, and it's you know, it's not going to attach with glue. So the extra sticky tape. And all I did was I put a piece at the top and a piece at the bottom, and I think that's all I did. Okay, and I put it back here again. You can put it on the card front, but that way it's going to give you the stability. You're not going to have those flopping around, but you're going to have that look of the window. Then this is the paper that I used. Isn't that pretty? Again, very collagey. Just to show you the back side. I really love that too. I think the browns are just gorgeous, and I did something with that later, or something that looked like it. So this is the sheet I used, and I did, you can see right here that that's where I attached it. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces that are the 2 1/4 inches by 5 inches and attach them on top, again using the extra sticky tape because that's going to work nicely. Then I go into, this time, the gold fancy dazzles. Now you can get this in a set or you can get it individually. And notice that once again I place the dazzles away from the edge, just right along there. And it was nice, but I already had done the inside because that way I could kind of mask that teal edge a little bit. So just gave it one continuous look. And you notice that this is a very wide one. In fact, it's the widest one in the set. And that worked well. And then I've got the narrow one. Actually, it's the one I used on the first card because I really like it, right along that piece. Then the nice thing about, of course, there's so many nice things about dazzles, but one of the nice things is that it's got these wider pieces as well as narrow. So you can see narrow, 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 narrow. Then what I wanted to do, in fact, I struggled with this a bit because I had these 2 pieces and I kind of wanted to use them. I thought they were nice. You could do that. I could do that. But then that just looked like 2 butterflies that were kind of the same, and I didn't really like it. So then, this is a process, right? So then I went to our dazzles, of course, and these are the card inside outside. So this comes in brown, white, gold, and silver, all 4 colors. I used the gold, obviously. And I really like the way it turned out because may all your wishes come true. And I thought that was just perfect, absolutely perfect. And I liked the style of them. I liked the way they showed up on the card. But I did like the idea of more butterflies because, you know, butterflies flock in a group. So I went with the gold pearl butterflies. And I've got the trio up here, so big, medium, and small. You can see that. And then on the inside, just a little one, and then also big, medium, and small fluttering out. And I just thought it did a nice job of having the butterflies. You've got them here, you've got the one big one, that they're fluttering all through this piece. And that felt really good. And I do think Heidi's right. I think the extra sticky, the heat-resistant acetate is a good way to go. So that was nice. Now, this is the card I showed you in the beginning. And this is a slimline card. and it just seemed to work nicely. I wanted to have something different. So when I get to the third card, I kind of want to just pop it up a bit. As I said, there are kind of muted tones. They're in the tans and the teals, but there's also a bit of purple, and I do love purple. So I took the slimline card, and because these papers are 8 inches tall, they're going to be perfect for slimline cards, which are 8.5 inches tall. So I did cover my card with the purple glitter. So that's what that looks like. You get 4 sheets in a package, and that's nice. And then I did, with the curves that are going on, I wanted to use that corner punch. I think that this is just a really nice tool, and I love the fact that it's got 3 sizes on it. In fact, here's a little piece I did that R4, R7, R10, those are the notations that are on the punch. So just to show you, and I did use the 4 on this one. Now, why did I use it on this piece? Well, tell you the truth, it's because I was going to put this piece on the front. And because that already had rounded corners, I thought that I would make the paper rounded corners. But when I went to put this on it, it was a little big for the card front, especially since I had, in essence, matted this paper. So I went with something smaller, and this is one of the, not the sentiment, oh yes it is. This is on the sentiment sheet. So there it is. Now, this is just a perfect example of what I've been talking about. One of the things I've been talking about is that, see, that's pretty light. It doesn't punch. There's more of a pop here. Okay, what do we use? Can everyone tell me? Why, yes, we use an ink pad. Okay, so this is obviously violet ink, and I did use it with the blender brush just around the edge. So yes, you can go over the foiling, and you're not going to disturb the foiling a bit. It'll just wipe right off. But it gives just a bit of color, just the right amount of color, because you control it. Now, because I had already corner punched my corners, that was fine. I just left it, but that's why that these are rounded, because initially they were going to mirror what was going on here. So I'll talk about that in a second. So I've got a lot of space, and I left the paper just being pretty up there, and how it's lighter down here, that's where I could put my sentiment. And in the purple collection of Dazzles, this has got, I think, it's got 12 sheets, and you're going to get the fancy borders, you're going to get the greetings, you're going to get all sorts of things, all in passionate, beautiful purple. And so I have used the happy birthday and the candle right there, and that just worked nicely. Now, I will tell you something, that in my supply list, I often call for the penknife. Now, this is the knife that has the, you push this, and it exposes the blade. It's a very fine blade. And then when you're done with it, you just press this button, that button, and that will retract. And it's very safe, and I like that. But I use it as almost an extra pair of hands, because when I'm into the Dazzles, in fact, I'll do this with one of the butterflies. I'll actually, very often, I do this actually with the greetings very often too, is I will pick the Dazzle up with the pen, and then I can place it wherever I want. And because my pen is smaller than my fingers, it just gives me more control. And I like it especially for the greetings. It just works perfectly. So when I lift off happy birthday, I may just have my pen underneath the Y in this area, or just over here, and then I can position it down, and it's just easier for me. So, you know, you decide what you want. But I do it all the time. And I felt like it needed something more right here, especially something, this was all very vertical, and I wanted something to go a little horizontal. So that's where my bow is, and of course it is from the Purple Ribbon set. So that is my card on the outside. Now, these papers are 8x8. So, of course, I had some left. So I ended up doing this little strip. I just thought that would be fun. And I did put the piece of glitter down, and then this is the piece of another piece of the 8x8. Also rounded those two corners. And this piece, let me see if I can find it over here. Yes, here it is. Yes. Okay, you see the difference? Wow, what a difference. That's what my friend the ink pad does. And I just love the control it gives me. I do like being in control, I confess that. But it lets you take it wherever you want it. I could make it teal, I could make it anything. So that pleases me. And so I did exactly that. This is glued down flat, so that worked nicely. And it already, yes, it already had rounded corners, as I said. So that's why I wanted to match that. It's a little thing, but I think it is a professional thing. I just think it works nicely. Now, because of the dazzles, these are actually card inside outside that are done in purple. So we've got Happy Birthday, and then on the inside we've got Make a Wish, and that little line is actually part of the dazzle. So it's with the Make a Wish. So I thought that was, you know, this is kind of a bolder statement, and then inside Make a Wish. I thought that was nice. So that is my third card. And why my third card? Okay, the last card with this very beautiful set of a touch of blush. So there we go. Now, this is a twist easel card. So here's what happens. So it's a 5x5 card, and then when I open it, it's going to twist and turn and stand like that. It's one of those cards like a gatefold or so many cards that are just very easy to do, but gives you something a little different than just a regular opening card. So first thing I did was I took my 5x6.5 inch card and placed it with the fold on the left. And then I trimmed it to be just 5 inches square. So I cut off 1.5 inches. Then I put it on my, here it is, my scoreboard, and positioned it, and then just scored right down, oops, like that, okay? So you want that right in the middle. Now, when you do that, you also want, let me see, here's the paper. Here's the paper that I used. So I just love it, it's really nice. Again, it's a color that you can go to anything. And I wanted it to be within the white space. So this is 5 inches square. So you want to cut a 4 3/4 inch square. So there's my 4 3/4 inch square. There you go. Oops, just like that. And then obviously you're going to do what I've done, and you're going to slice it just right down the center. However, if you stop there, then what happens is you're going to cover up the whole card, and that's not what I wanted to do. Remember, I wanted to have some white showing. So even though this is 4 3/4, you're going to need to take just another little strip off of each side of that diagonal cut. Okay, that way you can position it on each of the triangles. Super easy. Okay, now with that, I wanted to add, because I knew I was going to use this piece, one of the foil die cuts toppers, and but I wanted to again have that gold duplicated, but I didn't want to overwhelm anything. So I used the gold thin line dazzles. Again, this comes by itself or it comes in a package, so you can decide what you want. All of these, I get by the name thin line, are narrow, they're tiny. And I just placed it along each of those triangles, just like that. Now, the hello, let's see, let's go into this first. Now, that is off of the topper set. Now, again, each of these pieces, these full sheets, you're going to get 2 of them. So you get 6 of those in the whole piece. And you can see how, again, it's just beautifully foiled. So this was the piece I wanted to use. And I didn't mat it. I could have, but I didn't want it to take up more space on my card because it's pretty prominent right now. So you do want to attach it, the bottom of this to the bottom of your card. Okay, and I did foam tape it in place, by the way, so that works. Now the hello comes from this set of dazzles, and this is called More Greetings. And what is nice about the More Greetings is you get a lot of different ideas. You get with deepest sympathy, thank you, thinking of you, congratulations, and you get that very lovely hello. And I was pleased that even though this is very fine script, it played well on this script background because this is so kind of muted back. So that was nice. Then I went back to my butterflies that I did in the first card, did the exact same thing where I folded on each side of the body and then put the 1/4 inch extra sticky tape on the back of the body and then positioned it right there. So that worked nicely. Now, taking this and turning it into the twist. So what happens is it goes like this. You are actually then looking inside the card a different direction. Okay, so we've finished the front of the card, but when we turn this, couple things. Number one, I'm going to use this area and I'm going to work this way to finish it, whereas in the front, I was working this way. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is that something has to hold that easel up, which means it needs to be foam taped. So that's what I've done here. Now, in this case, I used another piece of that paper from the front and placed it and put the same dazzle right along the edge. And then this is another of the toppers. In fact, I think it is right here. Yes. So you can see that that has, in my mind, enough color all by itself. Then what I did is I took another piece of that same paper, because again, you get 2 of each, and I cut out the same butterfly. So let me just show it to you flat. There it is. And here's the butterfly. So I cut it out. Again, I use these 4.5 inch scissors. It's just easier. And then I foam taped it right on top of the matching art. And with that, I then have a resting place to hold my easel up. And it doesn't take much. You can see it's just touching the one wingtip. Then the thinking of you, yes, that's another one in this collection. In fact, it's right there. And I did use the brown set that's in there. So the hello and the thinking of you, and that just worked out very nicely. Now, you know what? I just found that purple sheet. It was tucked in my package with this last card, so that's what it looked like. Okay, so just, you know, it really was there, and that's the back side of it. There are cutouts, whoops, there are cutouts through the whole thing. In fact, I think it might have been, I think I just lied to you, because that butterfly is that butterfly. So you don't have to cut up another topper. You can just go to this piece. That's probably why I had it in the package. And just cut that out, foam tape it on top, and you have your easel card ready. And the nice thing, of course, is that everything matches. You don't have to worry about, you know, trying to find things that will coordinate, because they are all doing a nice job. So that's what I did and why I did it. One more version of Paulette's paper play. So this is using the Touch of Blush, and the Touch of Blush has 3 components. It has the 8x8 papers, and then it has the 6 sheets of the toppers that are foiled and die cut. And then, whoops, that's the 3rd one. And then it also has the sentiment toppers. Now there are 2 sheets in that package. So you get a lot of embellishments to go with the papers, and then you can ratchet it up a notch if you like, the way I did with using, glitter acetate and foiled acetate and glitter cardstock and ribbon and dazzles and stuff. So that's it. That's what we have for today. If you are watching us on YouTube, we hope that you will like us. Give me a comment. Tell me what you think about Paula's paper play. I love doing it. I'm having a great time. And I hope that this is helpful to know why things were done. So that's great. And we do hope that you will head on over to paperwishes.com. These are all part of the Money Saver. The Money Saver is on the right side of your screen. That way you might as well save a few dollars. We're trying to watch your pocketbook with you. And then down below, if you'll click on any of the cards or all the cards, you will see the written instructions and you'll see all the supplies that I used. And so that just to make it easy for you. And we certainly want to make it easy for you to shop, don't we? Okay, I want to thank you for joining me. And I want to thank you, as always, for being absolutely the very best part of paperwishes.com. We'll see you next time.